Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dana and I am so excited to share my love of makeup and beauty with you all. Today I thought I would do a ranking of my Natasha Denona palettes, including the ones that I have tried and since decluttered. Natasha Denona is quite an expensive brand and I know a lot of people want to try the shadows, want to try the quality, but aren't quite sure if it's worth it, if they want to shell out the money. So hopefully this can give you sort of an idea of, at least in my opinion, which ones I think are most worth it, which ones I would buy if I had to buy them again. I have 10 palettes today to share with you, so I will start with number 10 and we'll work our way up. So in number 10, I have the Mini Sunset palette. So this was one of their little tiny 5 pans in Canada. It retails for, I believe, $35. I liked this one. I didn't think there was anything decidedly wrong with it. My issue was the shades I really liked from the Sunset palette weren't represented in this one. So I didn't feel like it was a good equivalent to the big Sunset palette. And at the time that I was using it, and even now, I don't tend to love dark red shimmer. I just don't use it very often. It's not a look that I tend to go for on my own eyes. So I just wasn't getting a lot of use out of it. I decluttered it to a friend who gets a lot more use out of it. She really likes it, she thinks it's worth it, but for me, it just wasn't a palette that I was really in love with. In number 9, I have Mini Star. I don't actually remember decluttering this one, but it's no longer in my collection, so I must have. I liked this one as well. I found the mattes were fantastic. My issue with the Mini Star was the shimmers. I don't think they were the same quality as some of the other Natasha Denona palettes, and I don't think it was representative of the rest of the brand. And I think for people who hadn't tried Natasha Denona before that tried that palette, I'm not sure that they would be willing to buy the full size because it just wasn't as good. Like I said, the mattes were really nice. I liked the color story. I just didn't feel like it performed the way I wanted it to, especially for a $35 5-pan palette. It's quite expensive. It just wasn't for me. And my last one I have decluttered in spot number 8 is the Mini Lila. And again, I felt the same way with the Mini Lila as I did with the Mini Sunset. The shades I wanted in the big Lila weren't in the mini one. And again, I knew this. I have eyes, I saw the pictures, I knew what I was buying. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be. And I felt like I could get one really nice look out of it, and that was all that that palette could do. I couldn't change it up, I couldn't go deeper, I couldn't go lighter. It just did one thing, which is pretty common for 5 pans. So if you don't mind that, you might like that one, but overall it wasn't for me. In spot number 7, I have the Natasha Denona Peak palette. This is one of the bigger size 5 pans. I actually received this one in a BoxyCharm, and when I got it, I was a little worried, honestly, because I didn't think it was possible for the BoxyCharm palette to have the same quality as the bigger Natasha Denonas, and I was completely wrong. This palette has excellent quality. It is very comparable to her bigger size palettes. I have some of the middies and some of the big sized ones, and I feel like this one matches them. My reason for ranking it a little bit lower is, like with some of the other 5-pan palettes, it really only does one look. I can pull it a little more orange or a little more brown, but overall it does one thing. If you don't mind that, if 5 pans are your thing, you just want to stick with something simple, something easy, you want to have the same consistent look frequently, this might be for you. It is really excellent quality and I really like the color story in here. I just don't find that I get the versatility out of this one that I want to. In spot number 6, I have my favorite Natasha Denona Mini, and that is the Mini Nude. Now this is one of her smaller 5 pans. I love this one. Forgive me, it's a little bit dirty, but I really, really like this one. Again, it really only does maybe 2 looks. It's a little more versatile than the Peak, but it's still fairly simple. You're still going to get a fairly basic nude look out of it, but I find I really like the looks I get out of it, and I find I can switch it up to be a little bit deeper or a little bit lighter if I want to. This one is a great one for back in the before times when we used to travel. I would like to take this one with me because it was just easy to throw in a bag, it was small, and I knew I could get something simple or something a little more glam with it. So I do really like this one. It's my favorite of the small ones. In spot number 5, I have the Natasha Denona Sunrise. This is one of the midi palettes. And that one just looks like that. I like this one a lot. I really like the color story of these sort of pinks and oranges and yellows. Sorry, I'm trying not to blind you here. I really like the color story here. My problem with this one is that I find it's fairly repetitive. These two yellows don't look that different on the eye. These kind of purpley pink shades are fairly similar on the eye. And I find I don't get the versatility out of this one that I would like to for a palette with 15 shades in it. I like all the shades. I think they're pretty. I don't think there's any sort of standout duds in here. I think overall the shadows perform very well, but it's not as versatile as I would like it to be. In spot number 4, I've got the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. I got this in my Beautylish Lucky Bag this year. Very lucky bag. And I have the same issue with this one that I have with the Sunrise. It's just fairly repetitive. A lot of the shades are quite similar on the eye. A lot of the shimmers look very, very similar to each other, and they really don't look that different on the skin. But I like the colors in here a little bit better than I like the Sunrise one, so that's why it's ranked a little bit higher. I feel like I can get a couple really, really good looks out of this. It goes quite deep, especially on my skin tone, so I feel like it's more of like a going out, going glam kind of thing. I can't really get a soft neutral look out of it, but that's fine. That's not the look I go for very often. So I do really like this one, but I think I thought it was going to be a little more versatile than it actually ended up being. Moving into the top 3, in my 3rd spot, I have the Natasha Denona Biba palette. This is one of the bigger, I guess, full-size palettes, and this is a neutral palette. I really like this one. It can go quite deep, it can go quite light. As opposed to sort of the bronze, I can get a variety of depths, a variety of looks with this one. They're all going to be in that sort of soft, warm tone. There's really nothing in here that's standout cool tone except maybe this gray up here. Overall though, I can get more versatility out of this one than I can out of the bronze. When I go for a softer neutral look, this tends to be one of the ones I reach for just because it's got the most sort of versatility in that soft neutral range. Spot number 2, I have the Natasha Denona Safari palette. This is another neutral-ish palette. It is all matte, so I can use it as an all matte palette on its own. I can also use it as a companion palette. I particularly like using it with some of my really standout single shimmers. I think this one is great. I love that it's got sort of pinky tones, it's got these blues and grays, it's got some yellows in here, some more richer, warmer tones. I like the versatility in this one. There are a couple shades in here that personally I find don't perform as well as I'd like them to, particularly this gray here called Rhino just doesn't show up on my skin at all. I think I might have gotten a bit of a dud palette, but the rest of them are great, and I'm willing to accept that one bad shade, particularly because I got this guy on sale. Most of my big Natasha Denona palettes I did get on sale or with a gift card because I'm bougie, but I'm bougie on a budget. So I would like to have the Natasha Denona palettes, but I don't want to spend Natasha Denona money. My number 1 Natasha Denona palette in my collection is the Natasha Denona Love palette. This is the Valentine's release for 2020, and I love the Love palette. I love the pinks, I like the reds, I like the purples. I like that it's got a bit more versatility while still being relatively monochromatic. It's not a true monochromatic palette, but it is all fairly close in that same red, pink, purple color family. A lot of YouTubers have been talking about this one lately. It gets a lot of hype, and for a good reason. It is fantastic. I am really into this pink shade up here. This one is called Intense. I also love this shade here. This one is Heart. I really do think this palette is worth the money. I did buy it with a gift card because, again, bougie but on a budget. But I do recommend this one. It is limited edition according to the Natasha Denona website and social media. But I don't know when they're discontinuing it or how they're planning on discontinuing it, because it is still available over a year after it was first released. So just keep that in mind. If it's a palette you're interested in, they do say it won't be around forever, but in my opinion, it is worth picking up. What are your favorite Natasha Denona palettes? Are you keeping your eye out for a certain color story that Natasha Denona hasn't come out with yet? Or are you in love with one of the ones that she's already released? I'd love to hear from you. And otherwise, I will see you in my next video. Bye!